Alright, howdy boys and girls. Okay, hold on, which way am I looking? Not to the left, not to the right, to the top. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Why are we shaking? The picture is shaking. That's not good. But anyway, that's why. Okay, let me just prop my computer against the seat. So now I'm on this little table over here. As you can see, this is the table in my Kenworth, and a friend of mine just sent me a message, voice message, and I wanted to reply, but since now I have the Mac, right, it's very easy to do recording, but it's been a while, so I had to do a quick search online how to record audio with the Mac, and turns out you just use the quick time player. But right next to new audio recording, I saw another option, new movie recording. And I figured, wait a second, so I might as well record a movie for my friend. And then I thought, hey, maybe other people might be interested about this as well. And so that's what we're doing. We're recording a quick update because it's been a while since I did something trucking related. And this is kind of like live recording. I have no clue how the sound is. I see the levels are moving over there, like at the bottom where I'm looking. There's a little meter that shows the range, and that's why I'm sitting like this, close to the... I have no idea where the microphone is. Probably it's at the bottom somewhere between the screen and the computer. Anyway, the new update is that there's no more Facebook. That's it. I got tired of the idiotic comments, which were duplicating the idiotic comments I had before on YouTube. Only now I had to deal with twice the amount of idiotic comments. First on YouTube, then on Facebook. So a lot of idiots from YouTube migrated to Facebook. And I think, why make life difficult for people? So I canceled my Facebook account. So now, I can read all the bad comments in one place. That's what I like. It's easy, deleting them, flagging them down, reporting people, blocking them. The final measure. I don't know why I think it's something wrong with my face. Whenever I do a video, the first response is always advice. Basically, I did something wrong, or you should have done this, you should have done that. So thank you. I really don't appreciate that. I always say that for people that have lots of advice, start your own channel and dispense advice. And maybe 2 people will watch you in the first 5 years. But that's already better than just posting your comments and then somebody like me just deletes them because they go totally unappreciated. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. This trip, you know me, I don't like complaining. Well, I complain all the time, but I try to keep it positive, but it's hard. Trucking, I think it's much worse than construction. I think I want to go into construction because construction seems like a very peaceful occupation. I have a friend who's very happy with his career in construction, and he's flirting with the idea of going into heavy haul trucking, and I think I want to take his place and go into construction. Now check this out. So first of all, I spent 4 days in Indiana near Chicago because there was no travel during the Labor Day weekend, and I really love holidays. Don't get me started on that. Well, I hate them, but anyway, but I took the opportunity and I spent a day in Chicago, which I never see the downtown Chicago. And then I was looking at some incredible pictures online, and like, what? And everybody says crime, lots of gangs, mobsters, lots of murders. But then you look at the photos of downtown Chicago and it's like freaking unbelievable. You know, I'm a big sucker for, you know, modern architecture like that, you know, with the river, and I think they did an incredible job, you know, for tourists, where, you know, there's a walkway along the river. It's so beautiful, you know, it's so peaceful. And so I got an Uber, so I did like 4 videos, right, like 4 parts. So you saw, so I grabbed an Uber. It was 85 bucks one way. There was a local guy from Indiana, and also one interesting thing I learned is that the Indiana Uber guys are kind of like scared of Chicago, and they're not allowed to pick up passengers on the way back. So this poor guy drove 56 miles from Lake Station, Indiana to he dropped me off at 25 East Washington Street, because, you know, my savior in difficult map situation is a Starbucks. So that's the first thing I look for on the Google Maps. Show me Starbucks, right? And actually that was the way when I was trying to decide where to go, what I want to see in Chicago, right? I never been there, and I started watching some videos down on YouTube about this, like photography in Chicago, you know, like landmarks. And then I figured, hold on, wait a second, let's go by Starbucks locations, right? So, and I said, show me Starbucks in downtown Chicago, and then I looked at where they are, you know, and I knew that those were like safe areas. So the more Starbucks in one block, the better. And that's how I found out this, you know, the Cloud Gate, the famous bean, and then I found out this Flamingo, thanks to YouTube and Google Maps. And then I found out the river walk. I looked up on Wikipedia where it starts, where it ends, and then I found the Navy Pier, and some people actually left suggestions on the Facebook where I still had it. They said Navy Pier, but actually I think Navy Pier was the least interesting part of this. To me personally, the most interesting was the river walk and the boat. The boat tour was really nice, because, you know, it's one thing when you're walking on the land, right, and you look at the buildings on the opposite side, and then when you're in the river and it's not that wide, you can take much, you know, better pictures. But anyway, so that's how I found out where I was going. So I had this Uber guy, right, and I said 25 East Washington Street, and then from there I went to this red Flamingo structure. I ran into some Germans shooting a movie there with the smoke. It was all in my first video. And then from Flamingo I made my way towards northwest. I think it's like old post office landmark. That's the start of this river walk. And then I walked all along the river towards the pier, and then I spent some time there, watched some cool dudes play some music. There was this old girl dancing. And then I took the boat, and then I booked a night at Wyndham Hotel downtown, and I paid like 15 bucks extra for the river view, and it was like amazing. It was really satisfying to me. So, you know, I forgot about trucking for one day, because, you know, I do love photography, I do love video, and so I uploaded 4 videos. But as usual, photography topic is not very popular with my audience. So despite the efforts and time I spent on this, only very limited amount of views have been registered so far. So I make some stupid movie like this about trucking, and much more people see it, and that's what we're doing this update, right? But basically, yeah, then on the way back I got an Uber again from my phone, another Starbucks next to the hotel. I went there, grabbed the Americano, and I opened my Uber app on the phone, and for some reason this time it was 55 bucks, you know. So of course I gave him a tip. The first guy I gave him like 5 bucks, the second guy I gave him $10. But this guy was crazy. First of all, he drove all the way from downtown Chicago to Lake Station with a fully opened driver's side front window. And I didn't want to complain, because before my screen just went blank for some reason. because before my window was open, I was sitting in the back on the right, and I said, okay, if I close the window? And he says, do you want air conditioning? And it was only like, I don't know, 70 F, 22 Celsius. I said, no, it's fine, because it was like early in the morning. But I did not expect the guy to drive with the open window, so I had like a running nose for a day after that, you know. And then the way he drove is like the car was going left and right, you know, like very uncomfortable in the back. But the worst part is that this is like 7:30 in the morning, right? And the guy picks me up. I'm probably like his second or third passenger, and he says, oh, sir, we have to stop at the gas station. Like, how do you start your shift with pretty much empty tank, right? And I wanted to leave him some bad feedback over there, but I gave him 4 out of 5. Like, okay, and actually the Uber app translates your feedback. If you put 1, it says very bad. If you put 2 out of 5, it says bad. And I thought, no, it's not that, because the guy did transport me from point A to point B, right, to my truck. And then I clicked on 4 out of 5, and it says okay, but had an issue. All right, and then it gives me a choice of like, what was the issue? And I said comfort. Like, it was not comfortable. It was some guy from, you know, some Middle East guy, but the car was okay, but just driving, the gas, the open window at 80 miles an hour. And I wanted to leave something, like people always criticize me like for some rules of the road. Like this guy, I could have written a book about this. If you're familiar with Chicago, when you go on I-90 through downtown, there's a speed limit is 45 miles per hour. Guess how fast this guy was driving? I look at the, I'm sitting like across from him, right? I can see the speedometer. 75. So 30 miles above the speed limit. I don't think it's a good idea. And then he never signals when changing lanes. Like I said, this guy was a pleasure to watch, you know, because I'm in the back seat. I don't care, but you know, I'm a trucker, I'm a professional driver, and I'm watching another professional driver do his work, and I'm like appalled, you know. So compared to this guy, I'm telling you, I'm an angel. I signal, I keep the speed limit within reasonable amounts, maximum, you know, 5-8 miles over, usually at or under the speed limit. I don't drive with open windows at 75 miles per hour, and I don't drive at 75 miles per hour period, because my truck is limited at 65. So thank you, Ontario government. But anyway, I got distracted. And so what happened with this load is that, yeah, I spent 4 days over there. So the first day when I was allowed to drive with this 11-foot wide load was Tuesday morning, right? So I left Lake Station, Indiana Tuesday, yesterday, today's Wednesday, and I drove all the way to the border, stop on the US side, cancel the bond. And these guys actually still cancel them, like with that stamp, that perforating stamp. Let me show you how it looks like. So this is the bond, right? This is the bond. And what they put is on the back is this. You see, like it perforates. So when you want to take a picture of this, it's best to put it on something like this. You see, something dark, otherwise your camera will not pick up this. So I usually put it either on the black or like dark, you know, yellow envelope. And so I stop on the US side, I cancel that, then I go across to the Canadian side, boom boom boom, she stamps my paperwork, and she says, did you buy anything in the States? And I had a big envelope made up. Oh yeah. So I did this list, and I put all my receipts in here because I never had so much before. But you know, I bought a phone. I bought that Samsung Galaxy. By the way, some guys were asking, what was that last video recorded from the window at night in the hotel? like it was a short clip, like very nice high quality video. It was recorded with this new Samsung Galaxy 9 Plus, and I have it over here. And so yeah, so I bought a bunch of stuff. The most expensive one was Apple computer, the one I'm using now to record. And so all in all, it was $4,700 US. And the lady says, well, you know what to do, right? I said, yeah, go inside and pay the sales tax, HST. She says, yeah. But I said, everything is okay with my load? She says, yes. All right, cool. So I thought there would be a point of, you know, some traction, because there's another guy coming with the same piece. It's coming in bond. But no, the load was cleared like that. And then I went inside, and there was an issue with my Visa card. I had to call my bank, and there's no signal. My battery is dying on the phone. So it took a while, but finally I paid $770 Canadian. So I bought $4,700 US worth of stuff. So we get $800 deduction or credit, right? So you don't pay the tax on the first 800 bucks, but then on the rest, I don't know what rate they're using, but that's what I paid. I paid 770 Canadian, which is around 600, I think 600 US. Oh, I think my inspector is here. Anyway, and then I sent a message to the Landstar broker saying that I crossed the border, and they say go to the nearest truck stop. And I'm like, what are you talking about, nearest truck stop? Nearest to where? I said, I live in Cambridge. Like, the delivery was Woodbridge, which is Vaughan. And basically, after a while, we figured out what they wanted. The customer wanted me to go to the nearest truck stop somewhere near Woodbridge, because they want to inspect the load. I have no idea what they're talking about. And so I said, I need to go to my bank. I have an issue with my debit cards, credit cards, because my debit card was hacked after I used it a few times at the GATS, Great American Truck Show, right? So they canceled that. Anyway, it was like a nightmare, but so I had to go to my bank. I said, I'm sorry, I have to go to Cambridge, park in my yard, I have to deal with my cards. And so I spent the night in Cambridge, and I found this truck stop where I am right now. It's near Milton, Ontario. It's called Trafalgar Truck Stop. It's pretty much the same truck stop before Highway 407, which is toll, which I wanted to take towards Woodbridge, because Woodbridge is north of Toronto, right? And so I found this truck stop. I come here, and then I check with Landstar. So it took me like an hour. It was a big traffic jam. And anyway, so I'm here like 8:30. I send him my location. I say, this is where I am, so send your inspectors, whatever. And they said, oh, you have to wait for the second truck, the guy that loaded before me, if you remember, the guy with the step deck, with super low step deck. And then they said, the new delivery location is Ayr, A-Y-R, Ayr, Ontario. And I'm like, these guys are in Texas, right? So they have no clue that Ayr is actually west of Cambridge, like 10 miles west. So I was coming from the border, I passed Ayr, I stopped in Cambridge, my yard, like 12 miles east of Ayr, and then I spent an hour in a traffic jam towards Milton, Ontario, going east towards Toronto. And now I stop in Milton. Now they're telling me that I will be unloaded in Ayr. And I calculated all the miles. If I stopped yesterday in Ayr, or dropped the trailer over there and then just drove to Cambridge to do my business with the bank, and compared to that, I did extra 75 miles. 75 miles. And plus the time, I'm still here. Time now is 11:45 local time. I'm still waiting for some kind of an inspector. Not sure what they want to look at. I sent a bunch of pictures and they say the customer is asking how much money would you want for this extra miles. And I said, well, it's not just extra miles, but it's extra time, because I could have unloaded probably yesterday. Well, no, now I know that those guys stop unloading at 3 p.m. But I could have unloaded first thing this morning instead of driving, you know, back and forth burning fuel. And they said, so how much do you want? I said $1,000 US. And I said, I'm not leaving until I get the new rate confirmation, which was already not too bad in terms of money. So now there should be $1 grand more. And I just called them half an hour before and I said, so what are we doing? Am I getting the rate confirmation? You want me to drive over to that unloading place? No, they said, we still have to wait for the inspector. We still have to wait for the second truck. And I called the actual consignee, the guy who bought this machine. Those guys have no clue what's going on. And so I said, thank you, buddy. So I said, so who am I dealing with? Like, who's the customer? Who actually paying the freight for this, right? Who hired Landstar? And they say actually the shipper where I was loading, that's the customer. And so that's the customer who wants this load inspected. That's the customer, that's the party that approves the extra money. So, and that's always important, you know, to figure out who you're dealing with, who's like the main honcho, right? So I have nothing to say to the buyer of this machine in Woodbridge, right? Like, I cannot go by what they're telling me, because I'm paid by Landstar and Landstar is paid by the customer, who is the shipper. And so that's what we're doing now. We're just in the waiting, suspended, animated, expectancy, full mode, waiting for the inspector. And then of course, since now it's 12 o'clock, I don't know if I'll well, it's only 1 hour back to air, but then, you know, to prepare everything, to take the tops off. So basically, I don't know if I'll be unloaded today or not. So, and that's why I was joking, say that I want to get into construction as opposed to trucking. But I just wanted to mention that, yeah, trucking, if you're switching to trucking, don't expect it to be, you know, Irish cream smooth, you know, no stress. There's always stress, but as scientists say, the stress is much more dependent on you than the circumstances that surround you. It's not what around you, it's how you react. Because basically, if you think about it, 1 million years ago, right, people lived in forests and woods, and their lives, actually, their actual lives were in danger each and every day, right? From animals, you know, all these tigers, you know, bisons, stuff like that, other tribes, you know. So that was real stress, right? Like now, today, our lives are rarely in danger unless we're walking downtown Chicago. Just kidding. So technically, there's much less stress. And so that's my advice to people that work in stressful environments, is just try to take it easy, right? Because it's not as bad as it seems. Anyway, so I'm still waiting. Not sure when I'll be unloaded, but it's gonna happen. I got my camera ready. Oh, and something happened with my camera. I don't know. I have a second GoPro waiting in my post office. I wasn't able to pick it up yesterday. I can open the door. I can look inside my box in there, right? I have the keys, but all I saw were like 2 coupons for 2 deliveries they want me to sign for, and so I have to pick it up today or tomorrow, when actually the
post office is open.
But yeah, something happened with this GoPro when I went on that tour of Chicago. Maybe it overheated or something, I don't know. It was only maybe like 85F, but for some reason it was frozen. It was not recording. I could not shut it off. It was getting very hot, so I had to switch to my Samsung and LG to record video clips when I was taking pictures. But now it seems okay. I inserted a different SD card, like micro SD card, because sometimes that's the problem. The previous one was Lexar. I think now I tried a different brand and a much bigger one, 64 gigabyte, and I try to switch it on off. It seems to be working. So the plan is to put it behind the sleeper of the truck and record you know, untopping, unloading, because I'm not going to be dropping the trailer. They loaded me, if you remember, with 2 forklifts, so I'm pretty sure they'll be using either 2 forklifts or 1 crane, because this place where I'm going, it's a big rigging company. I was there before, and actually I just talked to the guy, right? And the guy says they only load unload before 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. And I sent that info to the Landstar lady. I said, you guys, you know, let's do it. Let's where's your inspector, where's your rate confirmation? Let's get going, right? Because we have a limited window of opportunity to get unloaded. So anyway, so stay tuned. So yeah, this was just an update to tell you guys what's going on. The actual video of unloading will be done later when I get a chance to get to the consignee, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Captain Sergei out.